Hello, this is Sabine Matharo, and I am the author of Rise in Pursuit of Empowerment and also Joy Recipes for Abundance. And one of the ladies I have here today is Cathy McKinnon, who is a co-author in one of my books, Joy Recipes for Abundance. And hi, Cathy, it's great to have you here and have a bit of a chat about your journey and inspiring others as well who potentially want to write a book or share their story, and also let them be inspired about your own story.
Yes, thanks for connecting and chatting. It's always a pleasure to chat.
I was just saying, first and foremost, we need to clear where are these medals coming from in the background?
It's an interesting story about the medals, and it feeds into kind of my overall message that I tell people, right? Like, we all have something within us that we have to pull out. And for the longest time, and even when I first met my husband at the time, he was a runner, and I told him, I don't run, I don't do running, it's not my thing. I was in high school, I was the last one to finish when we had to run a mile. I just was not into running, and I started to train for it, started to do it. And then I found, so much joy in it, and I found a community, and we had a team, and this team became a second family for me. And even outside of the races that we would do, we still connect, and we still check in with each other, and it built this bond that I didn't have anywhere else in my life. And so it's always my reminder that I can do hard things, I can do challenging things. Like some days when I'm not feeling so great or so hot, or even want to go to the gym, I look at these medals and I'm like, if I was able to do that, gracefully or pretty, or I wasn't the first one to cross the finish line, but if I was able to accomplish all that, I can certainly get up today and go move my body.
Oh, I love that. That's a really great reminder. So well done for getting it's already very, very inspiring. I'm not a runner either. Maybe I should just have a go, because community is everything, when you're kind of stuck and you think you can't do it.
It is. And given what we've been going through over the past, I want to say few months, but now it's going on more than a few months, community is more important than ever, right? And having, whether it's one person or a group of people that can help support you when you're having those tough days, when you just don't want to, right? And I've had moments with my race team where I was in the middle of a race and I wanted to stop, I wanted to end, I wanted to just quit right there. And you know what, they wouldn't let me, and they helped me finish through. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have finished that race. And I think, whether it's a race team, whether it's a coach, counselor, therapist, we all need that person to push us when we want to give up and on ourselves.
Exactly. And that's exactly what you do, Cathy. You're a transformation strategist. Here you are, very beautiful, double-paged, and founder of Wellness Warrior Coaching. So that's just that really suits you, right? That's exactly who you are. And we'll share, of course, where you can find Cathy right at the end. But maybe you can just talk a little bit more about the story that's inside the Joy book. And here's motorbike. That was definitely another sort of thing that you wanted in there, because that's your personality here.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. A lot of people see kind of the professional or corporate America side to me, but I grew up around motorcycles. I grew up with 3 brothers. I grew up as kind of a tomboy, and so motorcycles to me are still a bit of therapy. If I go out for a ride, go out on the open road, to me that is one of the quickest ways I can clear my head. And I know they're not for everybody, but finding something that gets you that same mental clarity is something that everybody needs. And so whether it's motorbikes or it's a sport or whether it's yoga, whatever that might be, we all need that thing that we can turn to when we just need to give ourselves a mental break. But back to the story, as you were saying, to me, when you came to me and asked me to be a part of this, which I was so honored, it was finding, how did I find my joy? How did I end up where I am today, which is so different than where my life was 5 or 10 years ago. And I thought about, what was it that clicked, or what was it that made that change to get me here? And it was, of course, not just one singular thing. I don't think we can ever say it was a light switch moment. But I kept thinking, like, I'm so much lighter now. And I thought about, as a child, kids are just so happy and carefree and light and laughing. Like, how do we get back to that? And how do we lose that along the way, right? We sometimes through life just get heavier and heavier, and life kind of knocks us down.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we go back to just being this carefree person? And of course,
exactly the thought that I had in terms of the vision, writing that book, that next book. And it came exactly to me. I thought, well, how were we when we were younger? What kind of memories do we have? We were really, really carefree. Of course, we didn't have a mortgage to pay or children to look after. It's a whole, all of that feels heavy then, isn't it, when you start to have that job and more responsibilities. But I'm sure we can bring back some of that lightness during the day.
And even with these things, of course, we're adults. I say, we have to adult today. We have to be, we have to do things maybe we don't necessarily want to or enjoy because we're adults. But that doesn't mean that we can't enjoy our lives. And, when we think about being grateful for what we have and shifting that mindset, like, yes, I have these things I need to do today. Like you said, we have the mortgage, we have to take care of our children, we have responsibilities that we didn't have before. But what an amazing space that I have the opportunity to have these things. I mean, some people in the world don't have these things. They don't have mortgages to worry about. They don't have, so many women desire to have children and can't. And so I'm like, how selfish would it be for me to complain about having to do this or that for my child when I'm grateful that I have him in my life. And so I think a lot of it is, that mental mind shift of gratitude and joy around these things that you built in your life. And if the things that you have in your life don't bring you joy, then maybe they need to be eliminated. If you're booking your calendar solid with events and obligations and you're not happy and they don't bring you joy, stop going to them. Stop RSVPing yes, because it doesn't bring you joy. All it does is stress you out. And I think, as a society, we got very caught up in, we need to do all the things. We need to be everywhere. We need to, compete with the Joneses and, social media.
Social media, absolutely. Prime example.
It's everybody wanted to be seen and heard, and they thought that was the way. If I'm everywhere, they're going to see me, they're going to hear me. But really, you end up not being yourself and you end up not speaking up because you're so exhausted and frazzled and all of that. And so finding those things that you enjoy and bring you happiness and focusing on those as opposed to just focusing on the number of things that you're doing is when you truly find your happiness. And I always refer to it as stepping back to step forward.
Mm-hmm. I love
as
that.
opposed to my calendar being jam-packed. Now I intentionally do not jam-pack it.
Yeah, and sometimes we think, whoa, what does this other person think if my calendar is completely empty? Because people ask, when are you available tomorrow? And if you respond, yeah, all day I'm available. It's like, no, you got to make yourself look busy, right?
I've had people, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like,
Nothing. Especially in lockdown.
But you know what? Sometimes it's nice to have no plans. It's nice not to be rushing, across town or a list of errands to run or this or that. Like, we don't need to intentionally stress ourselves out. And I think that was one of the biggest learnings for me, right, is I don't have to intentionally stress myself out to be happy. That's not going to find me happiness.
Yeah. And when you say sharing your story, has had that effect on you to learn something about you, perhaps, and the whole writing process, maybe you can just explain what that was and how, yeah, how did it feel? For me, it was certainly a revelation when I write, because
Yeah, to
we
me,
always
it's
think we're
very
not as far as
therapeutic.
we want to be, right? Or we are not doing as well as we should be doing. But when you start writing, looking back, it's wow.
Yeah, I've come so far, right? I've been through so much and I've come so far. And to me, it was therapeutic because I was a very long time, because of that comparison or fearing people's opinions or feedback. Even people close to me didn't know half of what I had gone through. And so when I started writing and started sharing my story, to me, it was like the 1,000-pound elephant was no longer on my shoulders. I could truly live freely because I wasn't hiding. I wasn't hiding my story. I wasn't hiding my experiences. I wasn't hiding, what I went through, um, out of fear of people's input or feedback. And once I realized and got over that, I just don't care what their opinions are, because all of these things happened in the past. I can't change them. No matter what people have to say about it, it is what it is. It happens. I can't take it back. But while some of the experiences weren't pleasant, they've landed me where I am today, and today is very pleasant. So I have to look back now and say, what was the lesson that I learned in all of this? What was this trying to teach me? What was this trying to tell me? And I know, and I know from experience, that when you're knee deep in those experiences, you can't see the lesson because you're just in survival mode.
Yeah.
But once you get through them and you're on the other side, and you can sit back and say, okay, what was this telling me? What was I supposed to get out of this? Because I think there is a lesson or a learning in everything. And so, that's what I can see now. I couldn't see it when I was in the midst of it. But now I can see that, these things were here for a reason.
For sure. I think life always throws things at you that is meant for you, and that you need to go and deal with that. And you will see at some point, if not right away, at some point later, you will see why you were meant to walk that path.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, did you get any feedback or judgment from the readers or from family after all, or was it just something that you're fearing and then?
Yeah, I did not get any negative feedback from my family at all, which was probably the ones that I feared the most. But I did get some very positive feedback from some of my girlfriends who read the book, said it was very inspiring, very uplifting. So it was the opposite of what I feared. And I think that is with a lot of things that we put on ourselves, is that we fear the worst outcome. And in reality, it could be completely different. And that's been with all of the writings that I've done. I thought, oh my goodness, what are people going to think? I held this secret for so long. What are they going to think? And you know what? It was the complete opposite of what I thought.
I love that. I love that, Cathy. And I mean, the books pretty much came out very fresh. And what I would say is, obviously, it's definitely a great platform, not only to connect, with other people, inspiring people who want to share a story, but also it's a great opener to get other opportunities. We certainly had stories of other ladies that were featured. They go onto podcasts, newspapers, got new clients and all that kind of stuff. So we'll is that something that you're aspiring to as well, and potentially do TED Talk or something like this? And
Yeah, I'm looking. I had
already, and
No, I had some speaking engagements lined up. Of course, the pandemic had some different plans for me. And so we're trying to figure out, when we are going to be able to do them, or if we're going to do them virtually. I'm doing a virtual summit here in September. So we have converted one of them to a virtual platform to get that out there. We have another one that I think we are going to push to the spring and hopefully do in person. So while they are delayed, I am going to do some speaking events. I am going to do, we're going to have a local book signing event, which of course we had to delay since we can't have the public gatherings. But hopefully when we're able to do those things, and we'll get back to doing those things.
That's great. And yeah, and that's a great thing. You can use a book to, gift to others, or you can get more interest in your summits, or just have it as a giveaway at the side as well, and all those kind of ideas. Yeah, very inspiring. So lastly, I just want to ask you, obviously this was a collaboration book, and that means that you have one chapter, your story in the book, together with 24 other co-authors. And I guess it was pretty much a done for you service in that sense, where you were pretty much guided through the process. Was that a good experience? Would you recommend that, sort of, if anyone says, I'm not sure if I can actually write a whole book straight away?
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was at. I was like, given everything that was going on where I was at that time, I was like, I am not in the place where I can write an entire book myself, but I want to be able to get pieces of my story out there, inspire others, get my message out there. And so this was like the perfect platform to do it, because it was something that to me was easily workable and doable given where I was at and things. And it was also my way of kind of putting my foot in the water and seeing, if this is something that I could work through on when I potentially do write the full book.
Perfect. Yeah, and now you know what the process is, and there's so many different components, and obviously, yeah, it's that's the thing. It's not that easy, but yeah, I think you have a great story here, and yeah, if anyone's interested, obviously, to be a next co-author, I'm actually looking for another, not quite another 50, but we've already have spots depending where you actually, when you see this video, you can always get in touch, because there's going to be 100 people featured in total. So the 50 are already here in the first two books. Are you happy with the quality? What would you say about, the way it's been structured? Obviously, this is all, we have beautiful pictures, and
yeah, I was actually quite impressed with the quality. The colors and the print of the book was incredible. I mean, I'm a reader. I've seen all sorts of books and all different levels, but even the thickness of the pages, right? This is not necessarily just a floppy little book, right? This is a statement, is it what I called it. So I was quite impressed with it.
Okay, well, that I'm glad. Yeah, that was actually, the my vision, because there's so many people self-publishing, and they're, really, yeah, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have a designer, obviously you're not going to get that sort of quality. And also we've hit the bestseller ranking as well in a number of categories globally. So another good reason to be part of a collab, because you have 25x amount the visibility and the support, and yeah, we can all sort of distribute the books together. So that was also a great a great, which I didn't realize in the beginning when I put this project into life. I didn't realize what the consequences would be, and how much more powerful it is than just writing your book on your own. So lastly, Cathy, if you let us people know where they can find you. Obviously, you're a very inspiring coach, and they want to connect with you, and they need support. What is it that you do, and where can people find you?
Yes. So my website is Wellness Warrior Coaching. So I keep it simple. And Facebook and Instagram, my handle is Wellness Warrior Coaching. I kept it consistent, so it was easy to find. I am just introducing a new program, and I hear what everybody's going through. I hear those parents and mothers that are juggling way more than we ever anticipated. And so I have a new program that will be launching called the Stress Less series. And so I will have more information on my social media and website about that coming very shortly.
That sounds amazing. We'll definitely leave a link so people can connect and find out more, regardless when they're going to watch this video.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Cathy, for having, for taking the time, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, thank you.